I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that was a Bigfoot. Let me tell you a story. Welcome to another Bigfoot Campfire Story. This one comes to us from a hiker named Boonie, who, while hiking the Pacific Crest Trail in California, he had an encounter with a Bigfoot unlike any I've ever heard before. This is that story. I guess I should start out by saying I'm one of those crazy survival people. At times I head out here to the PCT and spend weeks just eating and living off the land. I carry my tools in my pack when I come out here, but it's something that I crave a lot, so I spend many weeks each year along the Sierra areas of the PCT. On this trip, I decided I would walk the area before Truckee and get up near the Sierra Buttes. I had a friend drop me off near the trail, and I picked it up, and my adventure was on. I had been hiking on and off for about a day and a night when I decided it was time to set up a camp for a day or two and hunt and rest up. So I got off the trail about a half mile to avoid being in the way of any other hikers, and I set up a perimeter shelter and a small fire pit. Well, it was mid-October and the rains had returned, so there was no danger of fires to worry about. Well, I set off to find some water and hopefully some food. Well, it wasn't long before my bottles were full from this little rock creek just down the hill, and I spotted a ground squirrel. So I picked up a hand-sized rock and aimed it just right, then threw it as hard as I could. But I missed, and the rock hit the trunk of a hollow tree, and it rang out a loud knock. Well, I missed it. I guess it would be me and Jack Links at the fire tonight, but I like beef jerky. Well, I turned to start heading back up the hill, when from behind me not too far, I heard what sounded like the same knock sound I made when I missed hunting my squirrel. I quickly turned around, but I didn't see anything. Maybe just a falling branch. So back to camp it was to get a fire going before dark. Well, I got back to camp just as dusk would hit the sides, and I brought a pile of firewood with me as I returned. Well, I got a small warmth fire going as, with the opening to the shelter. It gets downright cold here, near 40 at nighttime. Well, I'd been sitting near the fire and playing my harmonica for a few hours when I heard another one of those loud knocks again. Well, this time, though, it was right outside my camp, maybe 20 yards. So I snuck away from the fire to let my eyes adjust to the night, and the moon was decently bright. I could see about 30 yards into the distance. Then knock! There it was again, a little further in. So I walked slowly farther, and there it was when I saw it. Some sort of wild man or hairy man. I'm not sure what to call it, but big, like wide, muscular, about 25 yards down the hill with its back to me. I watched as it threw another big rock, and it was hunting the same ground squirrels nearly the exact same way that I had been. It had weirdly long arms that could throw a large rock very far, and on the second attempt, he hit one, killing it instantly. The hairy man then ran fast, and I mean faster than I could move down the forest, down to its kill, ripped open the animal, and began to feed. Like any other smart person, I backed away slowly and went back to my fire in shock. I even stoked up the flames good and high, then piled on the thin branches to create more light in hopes I'd scare off the thing. But instead, I must have made it curious. I could hear it getting closer, but I couldn't see now as the flames ruined my night vision once again. So I reached into my pack and grabbed my pistol and prayed that I didn't have to kill it. Finally, the paces stopped, and then everything got silent. The only sound was the pops from the fire. Then the hairy man appeared beside the fire, grunted at the flames, then kicked dirt on the flames over and over again until the fire died out. And then it was black. I pointed my pistol at it. I screamed for it to go away, but it paced back and forth near me as if deciding what to do. Just as I thought I was going to have to shoot it, several weird animal calls rang out from it, and the creature just ran off into the darkness just as fast as I had seen it earlier. Well, I quickly stoked the fire back up, and the forest began to come back to life. There were owls in the distance, and the frogs and the crickets began once again. It was so strange I can't explain it other than to say it was like a switch was turned off when the hairy man was around, and then back on when it disappeared. I sat by the fire the rest of the night, not sleeping until dawn. I packed up my gear and quickly moved on after making sure the fire was buried in dirt and my shelter was taken back down. I made my way back towards the trail, and I had gotten my phone out in the hopes that I could get a signal to call my dad and tell him what happened. Just then, as I neared the trail, I heard that weird call again, and I turned to see a hairy man staring at me from 40 feet away. Well, I hit the camera app, and I hit the button over and over and over again, and then it whooped, and it ran off once again. Well, that was enough for me. I pretty much jogged back to civilization with my pack on my back, knowing I had the best picture of one of these things ever. After I got a signal, I called my dad for a pickup, and he was surprised it was so soon until I told him the story once I got in the truck. When we got back to the house, I was so shaken I had forgotten I had taken photos. But when I showed them to them, my dad just laughed at me. He said there was no Bigfoot in these pictures, just an old stump. Did I imagine seeing the creatures and taking its picture? That couldn't be the case, could it? Well, everyone had the same conclusion, that the pictures had no Bigfoot in them. But every time I look at them, I can clearly see this thing in my mind. Terrifying encounters can do strange things to a human mind. At least Hairy Man didn't have him for dinner that night. Thanks for listening. I'm Reverend Jeff, and may the Squatch be with you.